name's Ramsey Schmitz. I am a nurse, and so that was probably one of the most disappointing failures, life failures, is that here I was explaining to everybody how important it was to take care of yourself and do the right things and exercise. And, you know, if I was talking to a cardiac patient, you know, watch the salt, and, you know, every little thing that you put in your mouth affects what happens on the inside. And there I was, just completely absorbed in caring for others. And unfortunately, I cared the least about myself, and it affected my health in a certain degree. But luckily, having gone through surgery, that's completely flipped. And I feel like waking up that day that I had my procedure, it was just really the first day that I actually began to live as opposed to just exist. I did not have any diagnosed comorbid conditions, because what is common in the obese world is that we tend to hide from the doctor. So I rarely went. I mean, I would continue with my female health, but as far as routine physicals for, you know, heart and lung and other issues that I'm sure were undetected prior to just deciding to go forward with surgery. When I was 22 years old, I was diagnosed with bilateral blood clots in both my lungs, and it's an unfortunate process that happens, but it's common in patients who have, you know, sedentary lifestyles. And there's also some genetic factors that went into it that I could not have prevented, but there were multiple poor choices that unfortunately I was one of the unlucky ones who went through that experience. And my primary care physician, who had me admitted in the hospital while I was trying to figure out how to avoid having a stroke, basically keep these clots in my lungs and not going up, told me that I had to make some serious changes. And at 22 years old, being forced to admit that, you know, you could die tomorrow from a massive stroke, it was a little, it was scary. Get a little emotional with this part. And so my reaction to fear for most of my life was to eat. And at that moment, when I had the clots, I was about 248 pounds when I was discharged from the hospital. And before I eventually agreed and treated myself, because it was something I paid for, to surgery, I was 368 pounds. So not only did I not get healthier, but it got worse. Beginning to work for Dr. Lavin, which is how I developed a relationship with him. And every day he's like, just let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready. And I saw the difference in patients. I saw that success. I saw that ease of, you know, surgery, recovery, discharge, follow-up, because I was working at the hospital. And I saw him, you know, every Monday he was there doing his cases and lining up the OR. And I wanted to be a patient whose life was saved, and it truly is. And it's every year I send him a text message on the anniversary of my surgery, and I thank him, because, you know, it's a whole system that is changed, but he gave me the tool. So it's a tool that I will forever be grateful to have. So I had gastric sleeve surgery with Dr. Lavin in February 2012, and to date I've lost 220 pounds. A lot of work goes into the actual procedure, you know, the actual surgery itself, the skill of the surgeon, the staff. You know, it's more that one surgeon has a whole team that's working for them to successfully perform this procedure, which it is a serious procedure. It is a surgical procedure, very safe in the hands of a skilled surgeon, but it is surgery. And but it's the follow-up that's important. It's adding, you know, the exercise, because as an obese person, it's difficult to exercise. It's difficult to get into some positions. People would say, oh, but you can do yoga, or you can do, and it's like, I can't even bend myself in half to do yoga. What are you talking about? And as you lose weight, it gets easier, and you begin to love exercise. And interestingly, I never thought I'd ever be a runner. I'm not really a sprinter, but I'll trot or I'll jog. And I've done 3 half marathons since losing all my weight. The Rock and Roll New Orleans Marathon, it's fun, and it's a way to get out, and it's an accomplishment. You know, not everybody can put that on their book, and it was kind of one of the bucket list things that I was going to do, and I did. And it's those little tiny victories, you set them and you achieve them. And sometimes it's the first time that you've ever succeeded in anything. So, failure. And I hate that word. And as a nurse in the office, I try to always say, even if you don't hit your goal weight, or even if you don't get to a certain size, you didn't fail. Like, it's just maybe that tool or that instrument or that session didn't necessarily work for you. And it's okay. And there's adjustments that can be made, day in and day out. We make a choice. Sometimes it's simply just keeping a food journal, that you don't realize by writing something down, you might not cheat per se. And just being accused from others as taking an easy way out. That's one of the hardest things to explain, because nothing about going through bariatric surgery is easy. There's not one easy thing. Patients who go through this procedure have a problem with food, how we interact with it. And the ability to soothe our emotions or comfort our fears with eating is completely taken away from us. And you have to learn how to cope with things that might rattle you or make you nervous, or and you can't turn to a drive-through and just stuff your face and feel better, because you will feel worse and you will be sick and it will not be pleasant, which is the benefit of having that constant reminder. If I do overindulge, which I'm 4 years out from surgery and have maintained about, I think it's 91% of my excess weight loss. So there are days that I maybe eat something that I shouldn't, but I have that sleeve and it's reminding me like, that's one bite too many. And so it's kind of that forced behavior modification, because if everybody, let's face it, lives their life wanting to lose 5 or 10 pounds, or, and for me, having to lose 220 pounds, it was a mountain, and I couldn't take the first step. And you lose 5, you gain 10, and it's that's what life was for me, and it's no longer, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy that I don't have to fear food or fear getting dressed, going to the mall and picking out an outfit. Like, I'm pretty much guaranteed I'm able to go pick something out and it's going to fit, and I'll feel fabulous when I get dressed and put my makeup on and just enjoying living. That's my biggest accomplishment, is that I'm literally living my life for the first time. Night and day. I come from a very theatrical, loud, boisterous, excited family, and we sing and dance and cut up, and part of that was so inhibited in me. And when people say, oh, but you're the same person you were 30 years ago, nothing, you're so funny, and I was always funny, but I was removed. I wasn't the person in the pictures, I was the person taking the pictures. I wasn't the person, who volunteered for things, but I was there in the background kind of helping. And now I'm like, I will be front row center, goofy face, I don't care, post it if you want to, even if it's a bad angle, because every angle's good now in compared to 10 years ago. So it's different. I can hold my head up high. It's nice to go into a room, and a big joke between me and some high school friends is that they can't believe I go out by myself. Like, I'll meet up with people at a bar, and that's just not something that I do. That's not something I did. It's gotten to the point where I almost know no strangers. I'll talk to anybody, and one of the things that I love most talking about is my experience and my surgery, because that, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is truly why I am still here, because there were some dark days before that. I'm a different person. Completely different person. I didn't know what happiness was. We think we're happy and we think we're doing okay, and you really don't know. You realize how bad things really were when you do have those good days. It's every year going to any kind of family function. It's always the most amazing confidence booster, because you hear repetitively, gosh, you look so amazing, you look so happy, you look so wonderful, and that is, it reassures me that I did the right thing. and I am such a pleasure to be around with friends and family now, whereas before I was, just trying to stay in the background and not have to talk to anybody because I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to stand next to my cousin who was a size 4 in her skinny jeans and her cute little outfits, and I'm like wearing a frumpy muumuu. It wasn't cute. And so I just didn't do it. So my only regret in regards to having surgery was that it wasn't 10 years earlier. I would have had a completely different life. Although my life has grown and blossomed, and I'm so fortunate now with many blessings, but I would have enjoyed them for a little bit longer. I would have been a diabetic. I would have had hypertension. I had both grandmothers were diabetic. All 4 grandparents had heart disease. So I would have been on insulin. I don't know that I would be alive. Honestly, I would have been that young, heart attack or that young stroke, because the stroke really is, I was given kind of a hall pass on that one. I could have easily been found dead, but instead my mom found me having trouble breathing. And now I put on those heels and that jewelry and I fix my hair and I am loving life.